Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster, and I'm not sure if you can hear behind the camera, but it is lashing down with rain at the moment, so I'm staying well and truly indoors today. And one of the things I've been doing this morning is sorting through some of my old bushcraft kit, just going through some of the stuff I've not used for a while, and I came across this, which is one of my old knives. Now it was a knife that I used to love. I used to use it all the time, and just as time's gone by I've picked up new knives that I've used more often, and this one's sort of taken a bit of a back seat. But I thought I'd just do a really quick review on it because it's actually a really good knife. It's more of a pocket knife. You're certainly not going to be battening through wood or doing any really heavy work with this, but it's actually for its size and its weight and its type, it's a really good knife. Now this is the Enzo PK70. It's a slip joint folder. I'll bring it up to the camera just so you can see a little bit closer. I've gone for the curly birch scales. As you may have noticed from a few of my videos, I tend to go with a more sort of traditional look and style. And you can get this in things like carbon fibre and a few other materials, but I really like this one. Now the blade itself, and the reason I bought this knife, it's actually got a Scandinavian grind on it. And that was my main reason, or the real underlying reason for me buying this knife. And the reason being is that, as I think I've said before, I'm a huge fan of the Scandinavian grind. It's very easy to maintain. It takes a really sharp edge, shaving sharp. And I just really think this is a great little pocket knife. It did have a belt clip on, which I took off. There's nothing wrong with belt clips, and I do have them on other knives, but the one that they had on here in particular, it just it didn't obstruct my hand, but it kind of annoyed me a little bit. If I was using it for long periods of time for sort of fine detail carving and things, which is what I was primarily using this knife for, it just kind of got in the way. It rubbed against sort of the inside of my finger a little bit, so I basically took it off. But I think as far as pocket knives go, I mean, it's certainly not the cheapest knife in the world, and you can pick up something like a Swiss Army knife, Victorinox, something like that, for a much cheaper. But this is a really good quality knife. Now the same with all sort of slip joint knives, that it isn't locking, so you do have that risk, same as you would with a Swiss Army knife, of if you're not paying attention, the blade could come back on your fingers. So it just means a little bit more care when you're using it. It's actually got, I'll see if I can show you here. I mean, I'm putting quite a bit of pressure on that, and it's taken a while to do that. Now it's got a really positive sort of lock, if you can call it a lock. And usually I use the back of my thumb. Now the only downside of that, and it's a double-edged sword this, is that it locks in nice and solidly. It's not going anywhere. But in order to close it, you do have to just put that little bit of pressure on there in order to get it to close. So just something to bear in mind if you're thinking about getting one of these. Sorry about the planes, guys. I might do another short video about that. Someone in their wisdom has decided to change some of the flight paths near where I live, so I've now got double the amount of aeroplanes going above me every time I try and do a video in the workshop. So we're just going to have to try and sort of make do and what have you. But what I'll do, guys, let me bring the camera just a little bit closer in. I've just got a little bit of offcut of wood here. This knife is superb for making things like feather sticks and for fine detail carving. So I'll bring you a little bit closer. I'll give you a proper close-up of the knife, and we'll see how it performs with just a little scrap of wood. Right then, guys, so here is the knife. As I say, it's a really nice little blade. I will throw some specs up on the screen just so you can see size, weight, length, materials, that kind of thing. One thing I should point out about this knife is it is just a fraction under 2.5 inches blade length, which does make it UK carry legal. Again, I've spoken about this before. I carry a Swiss Army knife with me pretty much daily. I was carrying this for some time with me as well. I do find that the Swiss Army knife is a little bit more versatile for my needs because you've got things like a screwdriver and that kind of stuff on there. But if you just want a cutting blade, good quality, keeps a really sharp edge and easy to resharpen at home if you need to, then this is obviously, in my opinion, a really good little knife for that. As far as things like carving goes, for me it's just about the right kind of size. You can get your thumb on the back of the blade. You can take some really fine cuts with it, and a lot of that is down to the Scandinavian grind on the blade, in my opinion. But again, if you are going and using it as a sort of just a general bushcraft knife, you're going out into the woods, you want to make a tent peg or something, you've still got enough grip on the handle and a good enough length of blade to be able to take some nice big sweeping strokes for that kind of thing. Now again, if I just stand up a little bit, move myself around so I can get you in shot. Now, one of the reasons I bought this knife is because I wanted something small that I could just keep in my pocket for when I was going out, just sort of practicing bushcraft for the day or an afternoon. And one of the things I found that because it's such a good blade and you can get such a sharp edge on there, making things like feather sticks is just so easy with this knife. It's unreal, really. Now again, I'm not going to make a huge thing, but you can sort of see it just glides through this dry wood. You know, it's a good backup knife. If you've got some dry wood with you, or it's maybe summertime and there's been no rain, so you've got lots of dry material around. If I give you an example, so let's say you find something like this. I'll go with this end that's still got the bark on. So basically you can use this just to kind of pare down off your bark. You know, as I say, you won't be able to split with this knife. It's just not a particularly safe thing to do, but once you've taken off that bark, you can then start coming down and you can make a feather stick out of pretty much any size timber you can get hold of. Obviously, if you've got a larger knife that you can batten with, or you've got an axe with you, then obviously you can split down with your axe and then potentially use this knife just to make your feather stick. It's not quite so easy on a piece as large a diameter as this, but you can kind of get the point. So, you know, between these two, you've definitely got the makings of getting yourself set up for a nice, simple, easy fire. Now, the other reason I really like this knife, and as you see here, I've just got my fire steel out, so if I just close this blade, you can sort of see from here you've got a really nice sort of sharp 90-degree spine on there. So in conjunction with your fire steel, you can make sparks really easily and readily with this knife, and for me that's a really big bonus. Because yeah, I do carry fire steels that have a separate striker with them. There's nothing wrong with those whatsoever, but I do like to be able to rely on my knife in order to strike a fire steel to get a fire going. And I mean, that's really it, guys. You know, it's a really nice knife. It's very well made. As I say, I went for the curly birch handle, and it's really nice. I love the look of it. I'm not a huge fan of sort of more modern materials. As I say, I've seen the carbon fibre version of this close up. Lovely, beautiful looking knife, don't get me wrong, it's just not for me. But if you are sort of, you know, that way inclined and you prefer the modern look of things, you do have other options. As I say, it also comes with a belt clip, which I ended up taking off. It's entirely up to you if that's your preference or not. My knives generally live in either a pack or a pocket, so that's the way I go with it. Okay guys, well, as I say, I really do rate these knives. If you're looking for something a little bit different, a little bit more special than maybe a Swiss Army knife, PK70 by Enzo, really nice knife. I've used this for a few years now, as I say. Really pleased with it. It has taken a bit of a back seat in recent months to other knives that I use. That's not to say there's anything wrong with this knife. It's just that it's sort of it's been superseded by others that I want to give more of a fair trial to. But I hope it was useful, guys. Certainly hope it's given you something to think about. If you've either been looking at this particular knife or you're thinking about getting something similar, I'd definitely put this on your list to certainly have a look at in more detail. But I hope it was useful. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Questions and comments in the box below, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks, guys.